Hey guys, what's going on? How are we doing? My name is Adriana, and thank you so much for being here. Welcome if you are returning. Welcome if this is your first time. I'm just so happy that I've been on this journey. I feel like I keep saying that, but it's the truth. And it's already been 1 month since I have started my YouTube journey, and I feel like there's already been it's been so expansive for me already in so many ways, and I just am so thankful for anyone who has been following along or who will be following along as I go. Um, I had a lot of fun with my most recent video. Go check that out if you haven't. That was like a nice, quick, short one where I kind of got to play around with some nice visuals I had from a really cozy weekend at a lovely farm that I stayed at. And I also got to add in some of my kind of spoken word writing that I've been more interested in and looking to expand and explore. So go check that out for something relaxing. I hope you enjoy. And yeah, speaking of, kind of relaxing and if anything, I should say slowing down, that has been something that I think is definitely a theme for myself and a lot of people that I know. Now that we are really into 2025, the month is almost over of January. I can't believe it's almost February, which is crazy. And I feel like so much has happened in January already. There's been a lot of changes. There's been you know, things are definitely going in a lot of directions that I think a lot of us can see, whether that's in the larger world or in our own personal lives. And I will say that I think more on a personal, but still within the collective level, there's a lot of people I know that have been wanting to really dive into their creative pursuits and passions and interests lately. Like there's this really supportive energy I feel for making art right now, for creating, for getting experimental. Um, and I've found that that has been such a nice antidote to some of the other external realities and the kind of energy centered around that. Um, So if you find yourself that you've been kind of just really wanting to dive more deep into creative energies and expressive energies, like you're definitely not alone. I'm here with you. And I know a lot of people um, that I've been talking to have been as well. So it's a really exciting time, I think. Um, Definitely a very transformative time, right? And there's sometimes discomfort with transformation and sometimes, difficult things that come with it. But um yeah, it's been such an interesting, I think, time. And in terms of slowing down, that has again returning to that idea, I feel like that is so it's something we have to be so intentional about these days, especially in the modern world, right? Where it can feel like we're led to falsely believe that the natural cycle of things happen at a rate or a pace that it's just not the way things naturally happen, right? Like, especially, depending where you are in the world and taking into consideration the modern conveniences, so to speak, that we have and the speed at which we can obtain things, the speed at which we can obtain information, that we can share information, that we can, get a package delivered to us, like all these things. I definitely think it warps sometimes our perception of the pace at which life goes, right? And that in turn sometimes we fall into the trap, and I can speak for myself on this for sure, of thinking that we're not, that we're behind in some way or that we're not moving quickly enough. And I have found in the past few years, I have had such a strong desire, especially in the past like 6 to 8 months, to just slow the F down, okay? Like, there's been such a need on so many levels for me, personally, spiritually, emotionally, even my body, my health was just there were just so many signs, right, that it was time to slow down. And I think in this age, you do have to be intentional about that the same way you have to be intentional about where you give your time, where you give your energy, what you give your attention to, right? What you allow to kind of enter into your attention field and things like that. And when it comes to being intentional with slowing down, I think it's something it's a daily practice, right? It's something we have to be mindful about, but I think once you get into the swing of things, it's really, really nice. Like, it's just such a good reminder that things take time. All good things take time. The best things really do take time. And I think there's this also idea of wanting to get quick results, but I always find myself asking, why? For what? For and then what? When it comes to maybe goals you have or dreams or visions or things like that, I find myself, especially as of late, asking myself, what's the rush? Right. And that doesn't mean the ironic part is that I feel like now more than ever, I have been more consistent and more committed to certain outlets and things that I really enjoy and that I definitely want to build on, like I said, but there's also this double awareness at the same time that I'm doing it because it just feels good and it feels nourishing and it feels fulfilling. Like, what happened to doing things without the need of a result, right? Or without the need to get a result quickly, And I just want whatever I do in my life to be sustainable and to be things that I can enjoy and grow and learn from and contribute to and share for many, many years. And I know, especially for the girlies who might be in their early 30s, which this is the year for the girls in their 30s, okay, as that bunny said. I still haven't listened to the album yet. Don't hate me. Um, but for the girlies in their early 30s, maybe, or for the girlies who are just about to enter their 30s, especially as women, like, there is so many other real pressures that we face, and I don't know who's watching this, girly, but you have time, okay? That is just you have time. I promise you, you have time. It's something I have to tell myself all the time as well, and it's so easy to lose perspective in this day and age as well that 30s are still so young. One of the things that I love about having my personal family and my parents are both quite actually older than a lot of my friends' counterparts for their parents, and there's a lot that I could talk about that experience, but one of the things that I do love about it is I feel like there's always this constant reminder that or it's a great reminder, right, that there's so much life ahead of us. There's so much life ahead of us, and 30 is really only just the beginning for a lot of us. And I think even if if you quote unquote find success when you're in your 20s, whatever that means, in the traditional sense, let's say, people still end up evolving and they still end up wanting to do other things and take on other projects. And there's cycles for everything. And Yeah, I've also been just thinking a lot about allowing myself the grace and the space to not put pressure on myself to get to a certain place because, again, going back to that question of for what and for why. And if I'm being honest with myself, a lot of the times, if I'm rushing myself, if I find myself that I'm rushing myself or putting pressure on myself or kind of giving myself certain timelines that I need to meet, it's only ever because it's coming from a place where my ego is telling me, you need to be here at a certain place because of X, because this is an expectation, or because, you're only going to be so young and, look a certain way for so long. And I don't want to act out of that space. I don't want to approach things, whether it's my love for writing or my love for sharing or my love for storytelling and just my fascination with that, or my love for art and connection and humans and humanity and natural world and nature and spirit and all these things. I don't want to engage in any of those spaces coming from a place where my ego is just based in a scarcity mindset. And I know, when it comes to the ego and scarcity mindset, like these are kind of phrases sometimes that are thrown around, or concepts that are thrown around. But I love this for one of my favorite quotes. And it's funny because this is going to seem like the complete opposite of what I've been saying is I think Marie Forleo said it, where it's time is our most precious, unrenewable source of or resource. Yeah. And I love that because I think 2 things can be true at the same time. That is there's so much, life is filled with paradoxes and absolutely time is the unrenewable resource we have, right? Like we can never buy back more time and I think there's even more that's even more reason to be intentional and and spend the time in the way that we really want to and go after the things we want in life. But at the same time, on the other hand, time is abundant and there's so much of it. And perhaps it's unrenewable in the traditional sense, but when it comes to the more zoomed out perspective, time isn't even it's a construct at the end of the day. And like I said, both things can be true at the same time. So I've been really leaning into slowing down, even if there's, for instance, if there's new hobbies or things that I've been really getting into, like not rushing to get to a certain place, right? Just enjoying the process, not rushing to get everything off my to do list done because there's always going to be something to do. Like, I want to give myself time and space to relax and rest and be slow and be present. And rest is a form of resistance, okay? Like, I always have to remind myself that it is a form of resistance to slow down. And it's also, I find, just a form of really soaking up everything around us and getting the most out of life. And it's so much easier said than done. Absolutely. Like, absolutely. But if you're watching this, hopefully this message reached you because you're probably also feeling called to slow down. And maybe this was just a sign or a little, encouragement that you have every right to do so. And you have every right to give yourself permission to slow down and permission to enjoy the journey, really. Um, so I don't want to keep ranting for too long. This has been 15 minutes of me doing it already, but Thank you so much. Thank you so much again for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your space. Thank you for your energy. And I am so excited to keep going on this journey. I have so many ideas and so much I want to share. There's so much that has been a part of myself that I think I've been holding back, or perhaps not holding back, but looking for the right or outlet that feels aligned and expansive for me. And so far, this has just been so great. And I hope that it is, if anything, an invitation or encouraging to whoever is watching, um, to also do the same in your own way, whatever that looks like for you. Let me know if you thought something like this was kind of like, a nice little chit chat, a nice little kind of speaking from the heart, like no script, hang out with me vibe kind of video was nice for you. I hope you enjoy, and we'll definitely be seeing each other very soon, but not too soon to the point that I'm rushing myself. But we'll be seeing each other soon. Thank you. Bye bye.